Oh, Casey's. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it's Sunday, January 21, and we have Epidemic in the background. Instrumental, royalty free instrumental, which is kind of like my unofficial theme song, which I have in the background so that my streaming video doesn't go all of a sudden. Where did Jimmy go? Yeah. So if you keep that kind of, if you keep enough stuff going on in the background, um, you tend to hold on to your streaming connectivity, and we're doing it in high definition video, low latency audio. So it's as good as you can do without being a broadcaster. I guess so. The big thing that people are thinking about generally is what's going to happen in New Hampshire. I think I think not much is going to happen in New Hampshire. You know, you have an ex-president running against someone who most recently served as the ambassador to the UN. Yeah, so that gives her some international uh, experience. Um, but there's a lot of other executive things going on, and the U.S. government is certainly a whole lot bigger than the administrative tasks of being an executive officer of South Carolina, which Trump is leading her by 50 points. You know, some crazy numbers. So the pollsters really aren't focused on, you know, South Carolina until New Hampshire's all with. And I happen to have in my little Funkin' Wagnaliner right here is the latest poll results. Let me switch this. There we go. See me in the corner. But now you can see the poll results a lot better. This is some real clear politics. They don't actually poll anybody, they just assemble the polls. And um, the Sunday polling shows, because Saturday is below and then Friday is below. So you can see that if we just stay consistent with the New Hampshire Republican presidential primary, the Boston Globe, the Suffolk Boston Globe. I don't know if that's Suffolk County, Suffolk something. They in both cases, you know, they mention Suffolk. Trump 55, Haley 36, DeSantis 6. Christie is out of the race. And Ramaswamy is Ramaswamy. Oh my God. He really thought he was going to beat everybody in Iowa, and he got a big surprise. So he dropped out. Bam, I'm out of here. I can't rely on my internal polling. It's all optimism. There we go. There we go. So for the Republicans, you got Trump up by 19. And then on Saturday, the same exact polling company, Suffolk, Boston Globe, Trump 53, Haley 36, Trump up by 17. So apparently a few people that used to be in the DeSantis camp went over to Trump, which increased his margin. And Friday, same thing, Suffolk, Boston Globe, Trump by 17. So 17, 17, 19. Let's just call it 18. So we'll see. That's a very consistent 3 days in a row. And you're right. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it can't be more current than that. So it would look like Trump is going to come out of New Hampshire with a victory. So then, what's this woman doing? She lost Iowa, she lost New Hampshire, and according to recent polling, although I don't have a window for you to look at, see if I have it here. There it is. Polls. Polls. They just don't show any South Carolina yet. Their internal polling, they've got numbers that we don't. Uh, maybe be able to find something, but Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday of next week we'll have a whole new series of polls, and New Hampshire will be behind us, and Trump should be, he should have a commanding lead. And by the time we get to Super Tuesday, most of these candidates, are going to go away. Not too sure about DeSantis. Here's a little something that you might be interested in. Let's just swap cameras. There we go. See? SoPure. SoPure. That's how you can Google it. This is, like a little sample bottle that came with, I'll show you. Let's see. There we go. Let's go here. Look at my orders. I'll go back in history a little bit. Here we go. Now I'll flip this again. There we go. So there you can see the site really doesn't do any. So I last purchased it on January 18th. So I have 2 bottles, and I ordered 4 more because it's really quite good. And I get the unscented. They have scented. No extra price, I don't think. And I have squirt guns instead of the pushing the top. It's got triggers. And So it's 80%, ethanol, ethyl alcohol, and then 15% water and some other inactive ingredients. A little bit of aloe, you know, 80% ethyl alcohol. Kills harmful bacteria, 99.9%. So I spray it on utensils, when I hand wash stuff in the sink. Stuff that doesn't need soap and water, they get this stuff. Now, this just happens to be in my little office here. And so, it's 20 to, you gotta buy two of these at once, cost you $40. There are less expensive things, but I didn't want to buy a whole little army of little bottles. Here's half-gallon things, case of four. I had no place to put 4 gallons of anything, so I just stood with these smaller bottles. Pay up a little bit, you know, pay up quite a bit actually. But so that's these right here. There you go. And I'll just run through. See, you had get a free travel size bottle. That's what I got here. The other bottles are, like if you had an automatic mister in your bathroom, commercial bathroom, like at your office, this would be the refill for that. That's what they're trying to show here. Perfect for refill, hand-free desktop and wall dispensers. And so it's 80% USP grade ethyl alcohol. Methane, ethane, propane, butane. So in normal room temperatures, this is a liquid. And it's good, So I bought 4 more bottles just to have, because I can store these little ones. I just can't. There we go. I'm spritzing my hands. And cleans your hands. You can bring it with you to the restaurant. And when you get there, you can spray, the area in front of you and then wipe it down with your napkin. Because, the washcloths that they come in with, they've done 3 other tables. And of course, they've got, all kinds of communicable diseases. So it's easier and safer to bring your own little bottle, put it in your pocket, purse, whatever, and just spray your area. So I spray Marilyn's area, I spray my area, 4 or 5 spritzes. You take your napkin and wipe it down. Also the side things, because people have their hands on the edges of counters. And you just cut back some vulnerability of bacteria. I'd rather do that than run around wearing a mask. Because that to me is ridiculous. Anyway, so that's on Amazon. So there I have several bottles on the way. Let's go back to my orders. Here we go. 2 sets of 2, which equals 4, somewhere between January 29th and February 1st. Let's track the package. It is shipped, and it's got a UPS C1Z. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. The 1Z. So it's a UPS shipment, which makes me happy. And that's good. So I don't know where it's coming from, and they don't really tell you. But I could See all updates. Let's try that. There we go. Carrier facility, but they don't tell you where. There we go. We can copy. Let's track the shipment directly at UPS site. There we go. There's UPS truck. Okay. Uh-huh. Big update is on the way. Okay. I don't care. Log in. There we go.
11:40 a.m.
Of course, everything live TV. So, whoops. Log in. Let's try that. Oops. Didn't like it. All right. Forget it. It's on its way. It'll be here soon. Wednesday, maybe Thursday, something like that. All right, let's just take a peek and see what's going on with 9 to 5 Mac. That's a nice little app that tells you what's going on with the Apple stuff. Here's how to stop robocalls. Okay. Best smart scales for health. iPad. I got this to me, this goggles for $3,500. We'll give them a couple of years to figure out what's the best way to deal with that. I don't think $3,500 makes sense for anybody except the most wealthy. They're willing to try anything like that. Or corporate users that want to keep up. You need, if you need reading glasses, you got to get these things, which you can order, for $100. They fit inside here so that you don't, because you can't wear glasses while you have these things on. You have to get these optics. So, which is not a big deal. I would have to get another pair for Marilyn if she wanted to wear those, because I'm like +1. She's like +3.5, which is quite a bit different. She puts on my +1. She gets a little bit of benefit, but isn't. Vision Pro supports AirPlay, mirroring to iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple TV, and more. Well, that's here they're talking about. It's been announced. I think it comes out first week in February. Actual delivery. That's the first real new project since he took control. So they've been working on this for a long time. Yep. So there was a question as to how tall is Putin? The question should have been, how short is Putin? Because I have read reports. I read this whole article, and you go all the way down to the last paragraph. Well, this guy said this, and no one ever said, but reports have it from undisclosed sources that he's 5'2". Well, that's in the world of at least American politics, that's pretty short. So he'd be so whenever he has girlfriends or whatever standing with him, they better be 5'2" or less and not be wearing high heels because that makes them unhappy, and we don't want to have Vladimir Putin unhappy. So he's obsessed with his strong man portrayal in the media, as you can read there, and has been spotted wearing heels to boost his stature. Yep. So maybe he can borrow heels from our governor, DeSantis, because he's been spotted wearing heels. So, but he's like 5'8" or 9", wanting to be, 5'10" or 11. From 5'2", that's a lot of heel to be walking around in. So you'd have to have, some magical boots to make that work. So Taylor Swift has been getting some notice because the Buffalo Bills are set to host the Kansas City Chiefs for their third playoff matchup in the last 4 years. But it's another special guest by the name of Taylor Swift that's grabbing a little extra attention in the pregame yakety yak. She's she looks quite nice. I mean, her skin is like perfect. It is not, I guess when you're 23 or 30, 31 or something like that, you don't have many wrinkles. Anyway, it's cute that she goes to the games. I don't know if she's a football enthusiast, but she's attracting some attention, and he's attracting some attention. Travis Kelsey, wherever there's someone came out with a pronunciation of how he pronounces his name, and it didn't seem to be. Let's see if we can see what my computer says. Let's do this. Speak. I'm going to put the music down.
Chiefs tight end Travis Kelsey.
Come, I'm not hearing anything. Speak it. Well, it doesn't seem to want to speak. Everything's so complicated. All right, let's just. No, I can't get it on that one either. All right. I tried. We'll find out with the computer how they pronounce his last name. So, in the absence of any other direction, we're going to call him Kelsey. Here's some not happy news, but Alabama plans to carry out its first execution using nitrogen gas. So instead of having, nitrogen represents like 79% of our atmosphere, just in normal terms. So when we breathe in and out, it's 20% oxygen, round numbers, and 79% nitrogen, round numbers. You add them together, you get 99. And there's 1% of like 4 or 5 different things in the atmosphere. Well, if you give a prisoner, an execution prisoner, 100% nitrogen gas, that means he has no oxygen. Well, he'll pass out immediately because he has no oxygen when he breathes. So he'll breathe in and out, 100% nitrogen, and he'll go into a deep sleep. And in several minutes, his organs will start to die. And, his heart, his liver, basically the heart. And when the heart stops, then generally everything else stops. So it's a painless form of execution, and you're not dealing with poisonous gases. He just has like a plastic mask that's not sealed around his head. But if you flood it with enough nitrogen gas, he's not going to get any oxygen, and he'll go to sleep, and that's it. And they'll keep it going for like 5 minutes. They've got sensors all around him, so they can see when his breathing stops. They can see when his heart stops, and that's it. If you get electrocution where where they basically cook him, and he's up to 180 degrees, like a hot dog. You remember those hot dog things? You'd plug them in, and and in 7 seconds you've got a cooked hot dog, but that sucker is steaming. I mean, it's like scary. It gives you the idea you don't want to put your finger in the outlet because it'll fry you. So here's a screen that comes up on my iPhone every morning, and it shows this is a picture. Here's the day, January 21, Sunday. That's today. It's 11:52. You can see the time right down by my finger right there. Let's do that. So you can see 11:52. It's 69 degrees outside and it's 68.9 inside. So there's almost 1 degree difference between inside and outside. Maryland likes it pretty cool in here, so I bring your attention to this picture up top. Honestly, my parents traveled to, I believe it was Jamaica, and they walked by an artist that was in the streets of Jamaica, in a safe area, and my mother fell in love with this picture in this hand carved frame. You know, so in this case, the painting includes the frame. The frame is quite important for some reason, and it's this is at least 75 years old because I think my parents traveled to Jamaica in the mid 50s. Let's just say 52. Well, 52 to the year 2023 leaves, that's a lot of years. That's like 75 years, 73 years. That's That's quite a while ago. So that's what's going on there. I mean, it looks like a Picasso or something. And here's another bit of news. I sent, you can't get in touch with anybody on the phone. Like the Publix pharmacy, forget it. So I wrote him a story, which is this part of the facts, which you can't read. And then I have two other things showing the meds that, the pharmacy has had for like almost a week. So I say here in this little text, hey, wake up, guys. It's been, I had a full physical. I'm 78 years old. My annual physical was on January 8th, and I came up with these meds. And I need these meds. What are you guys doing? So let's see if when someone gets a hold of that today, if they don't get with it, I'm going to find out the fax number of the regional manager and send him a fax. The same fax I sent to the local guy. And that'll shake him up because he'll get a call from a regional guy, and all of a sudden those prescriptions will get filled because my big mouth gave me a little priority. But, I've been sitting here for a week, and the meds are there for a reason. All right, so here's another polling. This is with a margin of error of 4.4. So the Suffolk University Boston Globe, it's like a joint venture on who pays. That's basically what that. Why is it a joint venture with the Boston Globe? Because the Boston Globe wants the information, and the Suffolk University would love to give it to them, but they have to agree to pay, for all these phone calls. Now, this is 500 likely voters. So that might have meant that they had to call 650 likely voters. Boom. But, 150 didn't answer. I'd be one of those. I don't answer polling questions. As a matter of fact, my phone immediately goes to voicemail if your phone number is not in my phone book. And I've got 2,300 people in my phone book. So I've got a big phone book, or bigger than many, not bigger than most. So that's why the MOE, the margin of error, see, MOE, margin of error, is 4.4. And they got to call all around and see if they're actually going to vote, because likely voter doesn't mean you're going to vote. It means likely going to vote. So what do you got? 36, 46, 56? That's 20, 20 too many. So, and it's got 7. So he's not really he left and went to South Carolina. He's flopping around trying to figure out how he can, get up to the level of Trump without calling him all kinds of names and stuff. He's a pretty honorable guy. He knows how to be, he's a governor and reelected governor. So he knows how to, deal with such things. But anyway, we'll see. We gave our sons, the Brayville food processor. Which you put in carrots and it grinds it up and then it strains it and you end up with carrot juice. and it's, you know, it's pure. I mean, it spins. It's got, it's heavy. It's got a big motor in it. So I think there's a spin cycle that the strainer spins and sifts out the fluid from the carrot pulp. So you have pulp-free carrot juice. But, it doesn't produce an awful lot of juice from a carrot. So if you drink a whole glass of carrot juice, 8 ounces, that would be probably a whole bunch of carrots. Too much. So you just take, everybody, or the two of them, the two brothers, they get a little thimbleful of, an ounce and a half, let's say, each of carrot juice, and that's all you do. You can't drink a whole jar because if you do, you're going to be in the bathroom, either constipated or otherwise. Otherwise, it's unmentionable. So we had some people that were. Elon Musk says he wants a significantly larger stake at Tesla. So he wants to start, buying up Tesla stock. He wants to be bonused. He is bonused in Tesla stock. And here's an indication of the value. At Friday's closing, it was, around $211, something like that. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, $211.88. This is like a Friday afternoon. So it was up to 300, went down to a little over 100, and it's climbed back to 212. He thinks this company is worth a whole lot more because, it has a pretty good multiple, like 50 or 60 times earnings, which is big for a car company. It's like three or four times, the multiple for, like Ford or GM or something. Ford or GM may be trading at 25 times earnings. That's a guess, but not 50 or 60. So, but he thinks his company is worth, all kinds more because growth is expensive. And every year he grows another 30%. And the investors or the investment community says, no, you're not going to expand this company by 25 or 30%. It's going to be 11% like everybody else. And he comes in at 38% because all you have to do is turn up the dial and they start making cars faster. They don't have to whipsaw, a bunch of human employees because 94% of the car is automated with robotics, artificial intelligence and robotics. So, he's redefined, he has polished and redefined, what a factory is like making big equipment items like automobiles. He's also making robots, humanoid-looking robots. And the computer that goes in the car is the same computer that goes in his, Robbie the robot. And instead of, having extenders and contacts with wheels and brakes and steering wheels, it goes to fingers, feet, calf muscles to actuate, the movement of one of these things walking around. My impression is that everybody will have one in their home, a robot. once they get down to $4,000 or $5,000 a piece, we'd have a coffee. You get it financed, whatever. You get your mother-in-law or somebody to buy one for you. I'd probably go to one of my daughter, who's making a lot of money and has a lot of money. She's 50 this year, or December 15th of last year. So big 5-0. But she's got two houses, one in Potomac, one in what do you call it? On the water in Maryland. I think the actual city is Arnold, Maryland. Yeah, it's a $2 million house, all cash, no loans. That's a nice way to be. You just pay the real estate taxes and utilities, and that's it. And you have an investment, and hopefully it grows by 8 or 10% a year. Since that is on a navigable waterway, which she has a boat, it goes right out into the. If you go out from the dock and go to the right, you end up in deep water. If you go to the left, you end up in shallowish water. That's people live on the on these inlets, let's say. So so we're talking about Tesla stock, and Tesla thinks his company is worth a lot more than everybody else does. So he's going to figure out a way through earnings, through his performance. He has performance bonuses. He has earnings bonuses that are largely shares of stock because he doesn't need cash. And he'll probably be increasing that somehow. Maybe he sells Twitter and to somebody that'll, allow freedom of speech. And, he'll use that money to buy more Tesla stock. He'll buy another $1 billion worth of Tesla stock and increase his percentage from. He owns, it's somewhere between 10 and 20%. For argument's sake, let's just say 15%. Well, he wants to own 20 or 30% or 50%. You're not going to get 50% because it's a public company, and that would raise hell with the investors. If he had, if you got 51%, you got total control in the world of public stock things. I was vice chairman of a company that was publicly filing, and I can tell you that there's a lot to public filing, and I generally know the laws, and they're designed to protect the small investor, not to protect Jimmy. I was a big investor in a bank, and a bank holding company, and as an operator, it was unusual that my partner and I the two of us had about a 30% stake in a bank and bank holding company, which is really big. Many other banks, that percentage is more like 3%, not 30%. But, we did our homework, we worked hard, we took bonus and shares, and, I had 17%, and Phil Motter had 17%, and it was 34%. So that's the way it was. And we had a merger and everything, and I took about $1 million and said, bye-bye. I went bye-bye. I should have stayed because I would have made a lot more money, but I don't know. I left. Phil was older than I was, and he was, a little on the fragile side, and I figured, you know what? Let's get rid of Jimmy so the company doesn't have it which one do we pick, Jimmy or Phil? And I had a feeling that they'd probably pick Jimmy, and then that would be bad for Phil. And I didn't want anything bad to happen to Phil. So I figured, well, if I step aside, then Phil becomes more valuable because he knows, the whole story, and, he knows where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. Not that there were any bodies, but if I stayed in there, they probably would have edged him out, and then I would have felt bad. So I should have just made peace with Phil and stayed in. But I didn't. I was like being the good guy. And I figured, $1 million is a nice round number. I think I'll just take that and go away. So that's what I did. Then I didn't have to worry about that anymore. And I called the big investors that I brought in. I brought in about 25% of the capital. Phil and others brought in the other 75. I was not brought in to be a capital guy. I was brought in as an operator. I was the mechanic, so to speak, and I was a good one. I knew how to run a bank, and I was extremely familiar with bank financial statements, which are unique. Because remember, with a bank financial statement, you make money with money. So your raw material is money. Your business is working with the money, and the end product is money. So, how does that work? Huh? It does, and you just have to understand how that works, and it's pretty tricky for regular folks. Well, I figured it out at a young age of 35 years old, and I was very effective in saving. We saved a little bank, and so the state of Florida never sent us a thank you very much letter, but we saved them, millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money to resolve the bank by liquidating it. So we didn't liquidate anything. We managed the bad loans instead of writing them off. So, that's what we did. And we did a good job of it. And then we became attractive to other investors because we needed more capital to grow. I actually had a profitable quarter, a real profitable quarter in the 7 years of that bank being operated from the day it was incepted. It never made a penny. But under our tutelage, there was a quarter where we actually made a profit. And that was a day to celebrate, since it never made a profit, ever, in 4 times 7, in 28 prior quarters. No one got any trophies. We should have made one, for ourselves, because that was quite an achievement. Anyway, so I got off of Tesla stock, and what do you call it? Elon Musk, interesting character. Unfortunately, that this guy overdosed on a drug, and he's gone. Moderna, who manufactures this suspension for intramuscular injection of the COVID-19 vaccine made by Moderna. That is the vial, a 5.5 milliliter vial, which holds 10, half milliliter primary doses. They squirt the needle just a little bit, so that's how that works. We got our initial vaccination when when it first came out. And then 3 months later, we got our second injection, backup, you know, and that's it. We haven't had any since. We didn't get sick by it. We had no noticeable reaction to it. But around 20,000 people died of COVID in this recent round. You know, every year these viruses come out in this time of the year when it's cold. And, you know, they were ready to bulldoze Marilyn Monroe's house, and they stopped it. In the age of showing women's breasts, she's wearing this outfit where you can at least see one of them. You know, I mean, I know, I guess it doesn't. All these Hollywood types are, you know, showing as much as they can reasonably get away with. And in Hollywood, they're, you know, they come to wherever they come. You know, there's nothing to hide except for their privates down below. They do wear, you know, almost like a bikini bottom, so you can't see their privates, which I don't want to see it anyway, quite frankly. This is a famous picture in, I believe, Italy. Let's see if there's mention of it here. A couple of pictures away. Oops, I think I'm going the wrong direction. Yeah, I was going wrong direction. Welcome to Venice. So I abstracted the picture only and fixed it up a little bit. I'm not too sure what the history of Venice is. I mean, now you get around by boat. And it comes right up to the level of story one. You know, one would think that 100 years ago, there was a street there. And they were rising in the waters or whatever. Because there is there's a cycle, a 14-year cycle, and a 10,000-year cycle. And we are in a warming tendency of the planet. You know, the ice melts in the North Pole, ice builds up on the South Pole. And the difference between the two is this water rises here in Venice. Well, it's right up to the doorstep. It rises 2 more feet, and it's going to be wet. And this multi-story apartment, the ground floor is going to be up here instead of down here, because they're going to lose the ground floor if the water rises that much. And apparently it's been rising over the years because it's right. I don't believe the bottom below that was intended to be underwater, but it could be. I'm going to look that up just so see if anyone has taken a picture 100 years ago of that Venice scene 100 years ago. Let's see where the water level is, where it was. Now this little gadget, which you can rent for a mere $200 a month, battery level, this probably says start, on, off. So you put these sensors on some part of your body, and imagine this goes in your ear, giving you instructions on what to do. And the idea is there's going to be some kind of electrical signal that goes into these little pads. And It's designed to relieve tinnitus. It's ringing in your ears. And here's a graphic of, the part of your brain that gets hyperstimulated with this high frequency sound. And the new tinnitus treatment, bimodal neuromodulation, targets the brain. And you wear this stuff, and over a period of time, like weeks and months, tinnitus will go away. Now that, once I read some more, I am a victim of tinnitus. I hear a little hissing sound, almost like a frequency, in the background of wearing these headphones. So, anyway, here's just a little exercise in gravity and space and all that. Look, when you go out in outer space, if you were relative to the Earth, if you are not moving, then you'd fall back to the Earth like a rock, and you'd burn up in the atmosphere, and that'd be the end of you. But the reason why he floats is because his rotational speed, it's like twirling a rock on a rope. So if it's real slow, that rock comes right around your body and it doesn't suspend itself away from the stick. So if you have a stick and you have a rope and you have a rock around and you get it twirling, the rock will be out. Well, that's what happens here. This astronaut and this canister that he came to the space station with is traveling at around 17,000 miles an hour. So if you're going 17,000 miles an hour, that's like the energy that brings the rock up as you're twirling it. Okay? Now, when you're just twirling a rock here, you don't have to twirl it for 17,000 miles an hour. But these guys are in a geosynchronous orbit, and a geosynchronous orbit requires you, and this is not a geosynchronous, because the Earth is rotating below, because you can see everything moving, and you see sunrises and sunsets like 7 or 8 times a day, because you're not up at 44,000 feet, going 20,000 miles an hour. So you're in a geosynchronous orbit, which means that the ground below is rotating at the same velocity, so to speak, that you are. Because if you're right over Florida, for example, the peninsula of Florida will stay right underneath your view as you look down on Earth. But since you're not in a geosynchronous orbit, there's still plenty of gravity out there. But because you're traveling so fast, you will not fall to the Earth. You float around, and since there's no atmosphere, you can float around out there there's no wind to deal with, because all the atmosphere is held by gravity, and it's down in this blue layer you see here. And, once you get above that blue layer, then there's no more atmosphere to deal with. They're a couple hundred miles up, so it's not that high. So that's what it's all about. All right, listen, I've been yakking here for 1 hour and 47 seconds, and it's time to go. So I wish you all a nice Sunday. There's some exciting football on today, which, we want to watch. And we hope you enjoy your weekend. I'm going to say goodbye.